You'll find that you ask me questions, Sergio, and I answer whatever the fuck I feel like answering. So I loved what was happening here. I loved the rap scene. And I thought that it was a viable scene because I didn't like Bronx rap. I call it the era of gold chains and big dicks, you know? Guys wearing gold chains walking around holding their crotches. So it wasn't musical, and it didn't have any kind of humor to it, and no sense of humor to their music. So when I heard what was happening on the West Coast, I liked that. Mm-hmm. But as much as I love the Beatles, I was always a Rolling Stones kind of guy. So while I liked, you know, the Dream Team and J.J. Fad, I liked them a lot, when I heard Straight Outta Compton, I said to myself, wow, this is a combination of the Rolling Stones and the Black Panthers and Gil Scott-Heron and the Last Poets. I mean, this is a combination of those ingredients. I said, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be in the NWA business.
How was he were you guys close as friends from that point on, or gradually?
We became like father and son. You know, because remember, he was in his early 20s, I was in my mid-40s at the time. So we became like father and son, like teacher and student. So our relationship was unheard of for a almost middle-aged white Jewish businessman to have a relationship like that with a early 20s ex-drug dealer from Compton. You know, Eazy always said that I was the first white man that he ever really met that wasn't wearing a police uniform. So our relationship developed into not only a teacher-pupil, but a father-son kind of relationship. And I felt closer about him than I could if he would have been my own blood relative.
So how was he in person to know? Like a lot of us fans, we only know the music and what we see in video every once in a while. How was he as a friend, as a person? Like if he was here with you right now, or, you know, talking to you, hanging out with you, how is his personality like?
Well, around strangers, he was very introverted, and he didn't speak much. But when he was around his friends, he was one of the funniest, most personable guys that you ever meet. He had a great personality. He had incredible presence and charisma. You felt like you were sitting there with Michael Jordan or someone like that. I mean, he was just awesome. I've been around stars my whole life. I mean, I represented Elton John and Pink Floyd and people, Van Morrison and Marvin Gaye, and very few of them had the kind of presence and self-confidence that Eric had. And he was a terrific friend. And look, Ice Cube left the group over the relationship. No matter what he says about the bullshit that he talks about, how we didn't pay him, that's all bullshit. You know, that's all just talk for his fans, you know? He really was jealous of the relationship, the friendship that Eric and I had. And look, he was a lot younger. You know, he wasn't as worldly and cool as Eric was. Eric had all the women. You know, Eric had the money. Eric was the man, you know, and Cube didn't like that. You know, with Dre, that was a different story because Dre was Eazy's longtime friend. You know, Dre grew up with Eazy. He didn't go to Taft High School in the Valley like Ice Cube did. So I was actually very shocked when Suge Knight was able to come between Eric and Dre. I was very surprised. But once again, you know, all that talk was just bullshit about how he didn't get paid and stuff. Everybody got paid, you know. The deal is the deal. The deals you make are the deals that you live by. And everybody got exactly what was in their contract, exactly what they were supposed to get. And my book, like I said, Ruthless, the explosive tell-all memoir of a maverick music mogul with an ear for talent and a talent for controversy. Yes, I have a talent for controversy and representing the underdog, the controversial kind of people, because that's what controversy is. So this book tells it all. It doesn't diss anybody or not diss them. It just tells the story, and you can make up your own mind as to what it is. Look, anybody that thinks that Ice Cube just left the company without having accountants and lawyers come in to look at the books is very naive. That's a ridiculous thing for someone to believe. Also, Ruthless had business managers. They had Lester Nispel, who represents Rod Stewart, Barbra Streisand, Shaquille O'Neal, Phil Mickelson, the Eagles, Irving Azoff. You're talking about one of the biggest business managers in the history of any business. Do you think that a guy like Lester Nispel would be associated with something nefarious? It's not possible. Just like I know that Ice Cube and Dre's people, they couldn't make stuff up. Whatever it was, and it's in the book. And just to show you how honest I am in this book, I put some of these quotes on the back. Jerry Heller is a fearless genius. He taught me well. That's Irving Azoff, who since 1973 has managed the Eagles, and since 1975 has managed Jimmy Buffett, and manages Christina Aguilera and Aerosmith. I mean, this guy is a big manager. You know, he wrote that. And then I put down, from Ice-T, he said, I met Jerry Heller once and just didn't trust him. Okay, Dre says, I guess Jerry Heller picked the wrong nigga. Okay, so, on the other hand, Will.I.Am from the Black Eyed Peas, who were signed to Ruthless, says, when I was 17, Jerry Heller taught me about the record industry. Without that knowledge, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't have known how to protect myself. He was kind enough to show me the truth. Jeff Chang, who wrote the new book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, which is the definitive history of the hip-hop generation. Jerry Heller was behind the most influential music in my life. So some guys said bad things. Some guys said good things. I put them all down there. I'm a Libra, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I just weigh everything, and I just let you weigh it.
Yeah.
You decide. Is Jerry Heller the white devil, or is Jerry Heller the founding genius of gangster rap? That's
right.
up to you. You know something, man? I'm not running for mayor. I don't care if you vote for me or not. You know, I live here in my house with my animals and my beautiful wife, and I'm cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, I'm not running for office. I don't need your vote. You just make up your own mind.
Right. Yeah, and it must be something great to know you were behind, a very revolutionary change in the music industry, as far as with Ruthless and Eazy-E.
Well, Sergio, I've been involved with the Panthers. I represented Ike and Tina Turner. I represented the Diggers in San Francisco, who not many of people have really heard about because Emmett Grogan died at a young age. But he fed all the homeless people in San Francisco and wrote a book called Rick Won't Leave You, and he hung out with the band from The Last Waltz and was a very dear friend of mine, and I represented him. But of all the things that I've done in my life, and I was in rock and roll at the beginning of rock and roll with Bill Graham and Chet Helms at the Family Dog and Elton John and Creedence Clearwater and all those people. I believe that the most important contribution that I've ever made to the music business was NWA and Ruthless Records. And I think that Straight Outta Compton and Easy Does It, 2 albums which were made for a total of $20,000. In a day now when people are doing $3 and $5 million videos. You know, a Christina Aguilera video costs more than the whole movie Easy Rider did. So, in a day when we could do that for $20,000, yes, I'm very proud of being associated with Eazy-E and Ruthless Records.
All right.
Thanks for asking that question.